Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Stacey, and on this channel I talk about stationery, journaling, planning, all of that good stuff. So if that's something that you're interested in, please feel free to stick around, subscribe, like, comment, all of that jazz. We have such a lovely community here, so feel free to chat amongst yourselves in the comments, and I always reply. Sometimes it takes me a little while, but I do always reply. So let's get into the video. So from the thumbnail you will see that I'm talking about commonplacing today. This will be a shorter video than I have been creating as of late. I have so much going on this week. It's typical though, isn't it? It's the half-term holidays, so, or the Easter holidays should I say, so it ends up being like vet visits and all sorts that we've got today. So I just wanted to touch base really about my Commonplace, because I haven't spoken about it in a while, and just kind of give you a little tiny bit of an update and show you the updates that I've made to my system. So actually let me keep that out of the way for now. This is my like official Commonplace, and it's in this stamp Marché A6 cover, which I got from miso paper, and I think I mentioned it in the last video that this was in. Like I said, I got it from miso paper, but excuse all the ink, but she was out of stock the last time I looked. However, they're moving, so I assume Barbara's been keeping her stock low because of that, so perhaps once they've moved and done all that, it may be back in stock, I'm not sure. So it kind of is like a trifold system, I guess, or trifold cover, and I have it in like this. So this is the front of my book. I've just popped some stickers on it, and then you've got this little pocket here that I keep my little quote cards and my little folder with my Stalogy dots in. These are what I use for my indexing system, and the actual book is the Midori Commonplace in beige. It's an A6 book, and it has these like really tiny, let's see if you can even see, yeah, these really tiny grid. Also has a margin, and it has the pages numbered, which is awesome, and it has the key at the front, it has the index, but then it also has excuse me, it also has the index, not the index, the key bookmark. And I went through that really quickly because it's in every single one of my videos about this particular book. So if you want something a bit more in depth, I do have other videos on this. Right, let me move these out of the way because that's going to get really annoying. Okay, so yes, also I also got this on miso paper. So I think the last time I showed you, it was just a really brief overview. So for those of you who haven't seen it, I'll just give a really quick flip through. So we've got like quotes and things and notes from books. We've got just random little bits of information. We've got quotes, book notes again, something about the year of the snake. I very rarely decorate, but when I do, it's usually with this kind of like, I don't know, oldie worldy sticker. Yeah, just it's all very straightforward, I would say, and I make sure that I keep everything indexed, and it has the key, the stickers for the key. So overall I'm really happy with this. I have I use my Canon Ivy to print out pictures a lot of the time for this, and I think it works really well because I can do the little I think they call it a collage, which is like it puts 4 different, so it's like this. So this is the size, the typical size, but you can do a collage of all different sizes. So for example, if you've got it as a 4, you could do that and then cut them out. So you could do 4 different pictures and cut them out, and they're much smaller. I also put my thoughts about some of the things that I write about, not always, but it's just kind of my way of interacting with the material. And I have these art stickers that I like to look at. If I find one that sort of draws me to it, I like to look it up and then find some information and write a little bit about it. And I really liked this one. I really liked how it just felt very natural. And you can kind of see the love between the mother and the daughter. I really enjoyed that. And I'm on to this, which I'll briefly talk about today, because this documentary is meant to be coming out today on Disney Plus. It's already out in the US. But from what I can tell, it comes out today, which is called Titanic: The Digital Resurrection. So I was drawn to this particular article on BBC News by a TikToker called Bailey Gaskin, who is, well, she's a law student, but she is a history enthusiast, shall we say, and specifically in regards to the Titanic. And she was talking about this particular article. And then also, because it's already out in the US and she's from the US, she watched the documentary that this article talks about, which is out today. So Tuesday the 15th, I think. Yeah, Tuesday the 15th on National Geographic, Disney Plus, I think it is. So I plan on watching that tonight, and I'm going to Commonplace about it. So essentially, very long story short, I think it's UCL who ran the University College London, who ran the study, but basically new mapping technology has been created, and they've used this technology to scan the Titanic, which beforehand you could only see kind of like, imagine you're in a dark room and you shine a torchlight, because obviously there's no light down there. You could only see it in pieces before. Well, now they've got this mapping technology. They've scanned everything and you can see it in a whole new light, essentially. And I think it's fascinating. So I printed this out initially for the photos, but then actually I decided to print the photos out on my Canon because it was so much better. It's not that great quality. You can't actually tell on screen though. This actually looks better on screen, but in real life that's so much clearer. Anyway, so yeah, I originally printed out for that, but that's fine. I'm going to take some quotes from this article and pop them in here, but and that's often what I do. So usually it's on my iPad and I'll read things like I'm a subscriber of the New Yorker, and I'm a subscriber to the Marginalian. I think it's called the Marginalian. Let me double check because I've got it on here. Yeah, the marginalian.org, which is a fantastic site by Maria Popova, and she writes articles about basically loads of things that I'm interested in. So I often get tidbits from that which make me want to go on and research more things. So when I'm doing that, because this Commonplace is kind of like my neat space, so I try to keep this as neat as possible so that I can come back to this. This will be like my main archive copy of things, and it'll all be organized and I'll know where to find things in this. On a day-to-day basis, that's not generally how a Commonplace would work, and I have been finding it quite tricky to kind of, because I save things like I'll screenshot something on my phone and I'll read an article on my iPad, and I'll print out an article like for the pictures or whatever, and just things are everywhere, and I've been really struggling with that, to be honest. It's not the best system, I have to say. So in comes my little mini leather-bound journal, which I've actually updated. You have to excuse this, it was filthy. I put it down when we were out the other day and it was like a sticky table. It was disgusting. So I've kind of upgraded this. I've put an extra grommet in the back to make the elastic separate, and I'm really happy with that. I've added another charm, a little chicken charm, but I've also the main point of this was I've also added another set of elastics so that I can fit another book in. So originally it was just this and this, but I've added this field notes. So this holds, if you haven't seen before, this holds my like crochet knitting type stuff, so that when I'm out and about, if I've forgotten, I don't know what pattern I'm using or whatever, I've got all my notes and everything for patterns and things in here. This is like a little extra piece just to keep all my little bits and bobs. I've got a little bit of sticker release paper in here. I've got some of my Stalogy dots that I use. And then this is my Galen leather little pouch where I, at the moment, as I have been, I'm holding a lot of my little yarn bands so that I can A, keep up with what I'm using, and B, sometimes I like to pop them in my cousin. And then this one is like my general, if I'm like things like when the doctor called me to go over my blood test results, I wrote them in here and things like that. It's just like my brain dump, just general, I guess like scrap paper, I guess, type thing. This is the front of the Galen leather where I just keep some business cards and things. So I didn't want to put my Commonplace stuff in either of those, so I decided to just pop one of my field notes books in here and use this as my on-the-go Commonplace book, which is working really well at the moment. And I keep this with me all the time, so this goes in my handbag, but it also is like by my bed and stuff. So for example, a lot of the time if I'm reading in bed, or if I'm I often read on my iPad in bed or my Kindle, and so I can immediately pop those things into here. So this is brand new, I've just started it, but yeah, I will be then, whatever I feel is necessary to transfer into here, I can do that, or I could just keep it all in here and have this one as kind of like a scrappy one. But for the most part, this will get transferred into here and will be organised basically by things like using the key and the index, and it will make it easier to find. But this will just be something where I can just pop it all in and not have to think too much about being neat, because for me that's actually quite tricky if I'm like not rushing, but if I'm just trying to get something written down, that's actually quite tricky for me. So that is my current system. Like I said, I printed out some pictures which are ready to go for this evening, so that once I'll be using this and just taking some notes down when I'm watching the documentary, and then once I've done that, I can then pop them in here neatly so I can actually read it when I come back to it, which is always helpful. So I know that again, this is a quick one. I said it would be a quick one, but I just thought it was time for a little update on my Commonplace. I've kind of missed talking about it. I have neglected it slightly, and I have notes here, there and everywhere, so I definitely need a proper sit down and a catch up with it. However, something I will say is that's something I will struggle to do. I put that around the wrong way. That is something I will struggle to do in a video, unless I guess, I mean, I could do a live, I guess, or it's like a little commonplace with me, but I can't write and talk at the same time. We've talked about this before, so like I said, if you want some more in-depth details about my commonplacing, which hasn't particularly changed since the video I did about commonplacing, I'll link it up here and in the cards, and then you can have a look there. But if you have any questions, then please feel free to let me know. I'm happy to answer them. And that's all for today. I will be back to normal scheduled, probably long videos again next week, I would assume. But I just wanted to say hi and, like I say, update you on my little commonplace system. And I will see you all again next week. I hope you all have a wonderful week. I hope you're all really enjoying the half term, or the holidays should I say, if you have children or if you're a teacher or whatever. And I'm going to sit and enjoy my tea while I do a tiny bit more commonplacing. Take care. Bye.